Yes, so welcome to those of you who joined us this morning. Really glad to have you on board with us, and I'm really keen to share with you this presentation and the learnings that I've sort of built into it from the last 8 or more years as business coach, but also before that, obviously, as my career of over 30 years in business. So really appreciate that you made it. I know some of you, this is really early morning, especially those in the Netherlands. So Bert, really welcome from my side, and nice to have you on board. And hopefully we can also share some things of value with you. So this morning, we're going to talk about the 6 proven strategies that will help you build the business of your dreams. And the whole idea is that perhaps you make some notes, you learn from us, perhaps get some new insights, and that you then take action back in your business. So from my side, important that we share, that you communicate, and we'll have and stop and break for some input. We're going to do some polls. From time to time, we'll do, put it in the chat box. So I'd really want to make this as interactive as possible. Obviously, we can't all speak at one time, but you can participate through the chat box. You can participate through the poll. And if there's any comments or thoughts, please look at that. And Aurelia, if I can task you, perhaps just if there's anything in the chat box that I'm missing out on, please just interrupt and let's see the focus there. Would that be okay with you? Aurelia, would that be okay with you? All right, so...
Yes, Bert, perfect.
Thank you. Sorry, I don't have you on my screen, but I appreciate that. Thanks so much. All right, so great stuff. Let's get started straight away, and thank you for being on time. So looking at what we do at Action Coach Inspire is really we help business owners like you grow better businesses through our proven 6 steps business growth program. And I'm going to share that program with you today, and hopefully you can get some value out of that. You can ensure that you take some of this back to your business, and hopefully as you get back to the office on Monday morning or even this afternoon, there are a couple of things that you've written down and that you can actually go and implement. So we want to help you get back some of your time. We know that business owners are normally pressed for time. Day is hectic. They do the work, they have to do the marketing, the selling, and wear all the 9 hats of business. It's also about developing a better team. Do you have the right team in place so that you can actually step back from the business and the business can run without you? Well, if you don't, then there's some work to be done. And lastly, we want to make sure that the business really makes profit for you. So it's not just that there is some money in the bank or there's a profit on the income statement, but no money in the bank. We need to make sure that the business produces not only a break even, but it produces enough so that there's money left over and that we build an asset of value. And that is really important for me. So today you can expect some blinding flashes of the obvious, right? So BFOs or aha moments, things that you would recognize and probably know already, but at this point it is about learning. And I'm saying to you, if you have this aha moment or the BFO, as we call it in Action Coach, write them down, because it's really important to write them down, because you will definitely forget them by the end of the seminar. There's lots of other things we'll talk about and you won't remember them. So write them down so that you can actually use them later. Some of the rules I'd like to just ask is please mute yourself. Also, if you have another laptop or a mobile phone there, please just focus on, if you can, as much as what we do, but please just turn it to silent, and please don't answer the phone while your speaker's on or your microphone is on. We talked about muting yourself, and then really about participation. If you're going to participate today, you're going to play the game with me, you're going to learn a lot more than if you don't. So we're going to ask you to type things in the chat box. We're going to look at raising hands and completing some polls. And as much as I will learn from that, you will also learn from that. So yeah, that's really what I'd like you to do with me today. So if I can ask, if you wouldn't mind just typing in the chat box quickly, what is your business name, and where are you from, which area of the country, or even if you're outside of South Africa, 1 or 2 people from there. How long have you been in business? So that could be business as in your own, and what is your number 1 business challenge? There's 3 things I'd like to know. Where you are from, obviously, how long have you been in business, and what's your number 1 challenge in business? So we'll go and look at the chat box quickly and see what's coming through there. Okay, we got Talia Taylor here from England, been in the business for 2 years. My biggest is confidence and scaling up. Okay, then Christy. Sorry, Christy Peterson from Reviver Stress and Burnout Center in Nelspruit. Welcome. We've got Tony Sham from Interactive Direct. Tony, a long-standing friend of mine and business colleague. Thanks for being on the line. Yeah, Kirsten from Pink Soda. Kirsten, nice to have you here, based in Joburg. 2 years in the business. My biggest challenge is scaling up. Awesome. Then we've got Aurelia, a property practitioner for the last 3 years. Aurelia, yeah, we know each other, worked together before. So nice to have you online as well. Right. Kevin Witherden, 20 years in business. Biggest challenge is sales growth. Yamor, freelance facilitator, 20 years in the business, and to reinvent yourself. So well done on that. It's always important to grow and to become a new person. Right, so there's quite a few people. Thanks for commenting, and I'd really appreciate if you can see that there's people from all over the world with us today, and I really hope that I can give you some real value on that. So great to have you with us. Right, so just a quick poll, just so we can get used on what polls are like. I'm going to launch a poll here, and I would like you to just complete it. So there's going to be just about an introduction of yourself. So basically what I'm asking you to, in the first question, is to say, are you a business owner, and are you building the dream business that you've dreamt of? I'm working for a business owner. Well, you're probably building somebody else's dream, or I'm in the process of starting my business and I want to build my dream, or I'm not sure. So if you wouldn't mind just picking one of those 4 in the first question. Right, so we've got a couple of people answering already in terms of building their dream business. A couple of startups that are also with us today, people who want to start running their business or building their business. I'm going to give it another couple of minutes, or 1 more minute, to just get everybody in. So if you're not sure, then obviously you can pick the last one. Okay, another 20 seconds, and then we're going to close the poll. Got about 2/3 of attendees voting already, so thank you for that. All right, so let's close that poll. And the second question was, how many people do you employ? So we know that there's just quite a few of people self-employed. So I'll just close the poll. Let me share the results with you. So what we find is that about 14 of you said that you are building the business of your dreams, so you're business owners, and then the other people online saying we are wanting to build starting to build our business, so startup, so a nice journey ahead of you. And then we're looking at how many people do you employ. Quite a few of us are self-employed, right? And then we've got 12 to 15 people, and one business from 46 to 100 people. thank you for that. I really appreciate that, and great to get that understanding. Right, so what we know is that building the business of your dream is not always that easy. As we step out of corporateness, as we step out of life, it is about understanding what we want to do. So from my side, important that I would really like to just ask you this one question is that for the next 2 hours, and I know there's a bit of confusion about the timing, but we should be out of here by 11:30. I'm really just saying, can I be your coach? That means I'm going to ask you to do some stuff, and as you already participated in a poll and some chat box communication, thank you for that. But yes, today is also about value. So if we open up for discussion, please state your point of view, or love you to contribute and to add value in that way, because I certainly don't have all the answers. And I think we normally have more questions than answers in any case. So what is my purpose as business coach today is really to reward you for the time you're spending with me this morning. And what I want to do is help you think about increasing your sales and profits and how you can do that. There's quite a bit of work we're going to do on that to free up some of your time. So we'll give you some tips on time management and how to plan your day and what to do. And we're certainly going to look at how you can create that team of people. Although, being self-employed means, I need to make sure that I have a business that can employ other people so that I can actually grow and do the things that I need to do in my business. More importantly, right now in the COVID times, in lockdown and so on, it's about helping us survive and thrive. So firstly, we need to survive and our businesses need to move on. And secondly, it's about thriving. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, if we get, and we can actually get the business to keep on growing or actually surviving, well, the next step is we need to get it to grow, isn't it? So we need to pivot the business, we need to change what we do, the way we do it, perhaps some of the services we offer, so that we can thrive and grow our business again. And I think Kevin said that earlier on when we started up. He said, we need to play the cards that we've been dealt with. So I think that's an important thing. Right, so Action Coach, just a little bit about us, is that we are the world's #1 business coaching firm. So we've got coaching offices in 79 countries around the world, including Holland, England, Africa. We can talk, it's still under development, but we've got people in Ghana, we've got people in Nigeria, South Africa, Namibia, and we're also looking at Botswana at the moment. But then also, we started in Australia quite a long time ago, and our founder is an Australian, now lives in Vegas. Obviously started the business, and why did he start the business? Well, it was about creating world abundance through business re-education. So wanting to help business owners create abundance in their businesses, one business at a time, which then impacts on the community and then impacts on the country and then the world. So that's the dream, and that dream has stood steadily for 27, 28 years now, and we're chasing that dream. So we've got quite a lot of offices around the world, and we're coaching thousands of businesses every week doing that. So my background, just I was in the FMCG industry, fast moving consumer goods, more in the perishables, so talking about Clover, which is the dairy company, now more of a food company, but started off as a dairy company. And then McCain Foods, you all know, frozen vegetables, frozen fries, biggest supplier of French fries in the world, and also a family concern. And then Stamford Sales as a distribution company. So I've had quite a lot of experience around that at board level and senior management level. Did my MBA a couple of years ago, and this is my 9th year with Action Coach. So really enjoying that. So I want to show you a quick video, and the video is all about the entrepreneurial ladder. So for those of you who just joined us, welcome, and we're going to quickly look at this. And can I just ask, again, perhaps just pick on Aurelia, can you just tell me if there's no sound? I want to just play this now.
I want to take you on a journey up the entrepreneurial ladder. This is the ladder you climb to create wealth through business. Ultimately, the creation of wealth is not just about the cash flow, it's about the deals you do, it's about the investments, it's about building businesses that work without you. It's really the entrepreneurial roadmap to you creating serious wealth in your life through business. You see, when I wrote my book, Billionaire in Training, I understood that people needed to see what is the roadmap to wealth. Now, we all start off as a student. And of course, as a student, we're not actually making money, we're costing money. You know, we have to spend the money to go to school. Now, once you graduate from school, ultimately you want to become an employee. See, school is like an apprenticeship to become an employee. Well, employeeship is like an apprenticeship to your own business. You want to have multiple different jobs in different areas, so you learn a bunch of things. You want to learn sales, you want to learn marketing, you want to learn all the different aspects of business. So when you do go into business for yourself, you're not the one having to learn it. You've already learned it, and you are paid to learn how to do these things. See, ultimately, to earn more, you've got to learn more. Now, once you become an employee and you learn a bunch and you have many different jobs, you might start your own business or buy into a business and become self-employed. The challenge is there's still a lot to learn at self-employed, and that's why it can feel like a seesaw. Find the work, do the work, make the sale, do the work. Because what you're doing is learning. You're learning everything from sales and marketing. Anything you didn't learn as an employee, you're going to have to learn it when you start your own business. And that's why it's a struggle at the start for most small businesses. The amount of knowledge you have to take on sales, marketing, taxation, purchasing, IT, you name it, you're the owner, you've got to learn it. Now, eventually, as you succeed, you start to employ others and you move up to level 2, the manager. At manager level, though, now everyone's asking you questions. Now they're coming to you for answers. And sometimes it doesn't feel like they work for you. It feels like you work for them. In fact, it's off the seesaw, onto the merry-go-round, running round and round in circles, putting out fires they start. We're just trading time for money stuff down here. But it's because we've got a lot to learn. Ultimately, though, you can step up to being the owner. You can build a business that works so you don't have to. My definition, a commercial profitable enterprise that works without you. That profit is where we move from trading time for money to actually getting a result. We've invested, we've built a business that works so we don't have to. That, my friends, then leads us to become an investor. See, trading time for money isn't really where we want to be. We want to build that money up and then start investing. Now, there's 3 categories of investments that we want to look towards. Businesses, there's real estate, and there's shares. And of course, you want to learn all 3 because different cycles of the market, different ones are making a whole bunch of money. So when you learn all 3, businesses, real estate, and shares, you set yourself up for success. Now, the ultimate investor is the entrepreneur. See, investors are buying investments with their money. Entrepreneurs are creating investments, creating capital for others to invest into. You see, if you can start this entrepreneurial ladder, you can build a business that works without you, become an investor, and ultimately an entrepreneur. Come chat with us here at Action Coach. You see, we help business owners every day build businesses that work and build wealth through business.
Well, thank you, Brad. And yeah, I think that you guys all recognize more or less where you were, and I was interested to know. So let's take another quick poll, and let's see how we go with that. Let me just get out here. Right, so what I want to ask you is, just at this point in time, there's 2 questions. The one is, where do you see yourself right now on the entrepreneurial ladder? And the other question is, at the end of 2021, which step of the entrepreneurial ladder do you think you would have reached by that time? Okay, so expected, a lot of us are at the self-employed level. Still learning a lot about marketing, sales, admin, all those things. Glad to see we've got some people at the entrepreneur level, really making money from other people's ideas and investing in other people's ideas. So awesome to see that. All right. I think one of the important things, I'm going to just close the poll now and I'll share it with you. So one of the important things here is that hopefully we see ourselves taking one step up this year. So moving from self-employed to manager, or from manager to owner, and so on. So something to think about in this journey as we step up and want to run a business and want to make sure we've got the results we want from the business. So concept of entrepreneurial ladder talks a little bit about mindset, it talks about our skills, it talks about our ability to run a business, and are we making money with it? So awesome that you've got that. Right, so I also want to make sure that you understand that we're going to offer you some programs that we run with our clients. We're going to talk a little bit about them at the end, but there's the group coaching, which we call Action Club, and the one-to-one coaching, which is normal business coaching that we work with. Right, so our vision is to inspire and empower 10,000 business owners in creating long-term, profitable, thriving businesses, resulting in the creation of 100,000 jobs. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because I believe that if you have a job and you actually get up in the morning and you have a purpose, then life has a lot more meaning. And if you can put food on the table, and especially if you're in Africa where we work, a lot of people are struggling to just make ends meet. So let's help create jobs so that we can get people to fend and to look after themselves and to have money to put food on the table for their families. So what do we do? Well, as business coaches, we help business owners grow their business. And how does that happen? Well, we're growing the business's bottom line and profitability. So we know that as we step in and work with a business owner, finances are important. So we need to focus and fix that. We need to look at creating massive growth in your confidence, because quite often we find there's a mindset challenge that, yes, business is hard out there and things are not going well. How do we make sure that is great and that we fix that? And then time management. Are we spending time at the right places at the right time? And do we waste our time? Sometimes we're just busy with stuff that we shouldn't be busy with. And we're going to talk about that a little later. One of the clients that I had some great results with, a family business in the Crisanti Group. This business was directionless a little bit. And as a family, three families, families dependent on the business for their income and for their health and wellness. And yeah, we had to fix a lot of stuff. We had to refocus the business and we had to drive things going forward. So also want to share with you a little bit about learning. So we know that we all have this left brain, right brain thinking. And we know that you're either a little bit left brain dominant or right brain dominant. So the left brain people typically are the guys that focus on the words, the maths, the logic, and the process. They look at the detail. So you think about your accountants, they would typically fit in the left brain stuff. That's their brain's thinking style. Your creative people are more on the other side. So your marketing people, the people that do graphic designs, people that sort of look at the big picture of the business, those are the people that use the right brain. And as a business owner, we have to do both. And sometimes that creates a bit of confusion. But we want to make sure that through today, we open up some of that confusion and we can help you with that going forward. The other important thing is the point of power, right? So we talk about ownership, accountability, and responsibility. We know that sometimes we fall below that point of power. We actually blame our staff for the business not performing. We have excuses for not going to see difficult clients or perhaps prospects that we need to get to know. And we're in denial sometimes of our own skill and our own ability and the business's performance. And if we really critically look at that, we know we need to address that. So important for me is to understand that, guys, we need to make sure that we're not powerless. And if we have people in our network or people in our staff that sort of blame and have excuses and are in denial all the time, well, we need to address that because they're going to hold us back. So we need to fix that. We're going to make sure that they become responsible. We need to hold them accountable, and we need to take ownership of our business and ownership of those problems in our business, because as managers, that's what we need to deal with. And if we don't get the results, well, sometimes you need to look at yourself. Are you being accountable? Are you taking full ownership of the business results? Because if you don't, nobody else will. Right, so the other important thing is participation. If you are going to work with us today and compete, and thanks for doing the polls, we know that if you're going to give 100%, you're on the field, then there's also this thing that you'll get 100%. And the other important thing is I just want you to open up your mind for learning. So rather than say, I know, say that isn't that interesting. And perhaps look at it in a new way and get some new insights and apply something differently in your business. And then you also want to make sure that there's fun in this thing. So, you know, a business has to be fun. Where does it become fun? Well, when it makes money. If it doesn't make money, there's just all sorts of stuff happening, stress, and you know, we can't sleep at night. We think about how we're going to pay the wages and the bills at the end of the month. So those things are not fun. So we want to sort that out and go forward. So let's think about our business. So perhaps I'd like you to just type into the chat box, is your business driving you, or are you driving the business? So in the chat box, if you wouldn't mind just commenting and giving us some information. Is your business driving you, or are you driving your business? Okay, thanks, Emil, for saying it's driving you. And Stacy, quite a lot of it's driving me. All right, interesting. Right, so I think important there is to say that, how do we change that? If the business is driving me, then I have to follow its agenda. If you're on the driver's seat, Kirsten, well done, like that. But I think we find that quite a lot of business owners are not 100% there yet. So thanks for sharing, Kevin. Thanks for that, Bert. Right, so thanks for that information. I think it's an important one, and I think it's important that we say that, how do we get out of this? How do we get to the point where we can drive our own business? Right, so really important for us. Right, and we also know that, you know, burnout is a huge problem with small business owners. So burnout leads to all sorts of stress at home, you know, because a small business owner, sometimes we think we just have to work harder. Let's get another client, let's just service another, you know, we have to invoice some more and so on. But that's not always what needs to happen. And especially in COVID times, you know, we're sitting in an abnormal situation. It's a lot harder to get sales, a lot harder, you know, that a lot of our business has disappeared because guess what, you know, there's no, you know, tourism is at an all-time low. Exhibitions are not taking place. Sports events are not taking place. So all the stuff that is related to that, be that cold drinks, beer, whatever, is not actually happening. And that turnover is gone and the market has shrunk. So we also know that most people, even if they work for themselves, normally only have a job. And we get that just over broke feeling if you have a salary. And, you know, but a lot of people had to take salary cuts this year, and as they went through COVID. But let's say you have been lucky, you are working for a boss, you've been employed, and you get an increase. What happens with that 10% increase that you got? Well, you're just spending it on something else, isn't it? You're buying a bigger car, or you actually just catching up with some stuff. But there's no money left in the bank, so you're just overbroke. And what Brad told you in the video, and I would like to share with you, is that, you know, what is a successful business? It's a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you. What does that mean? Well, commercial means there are systems in place. It's registered. It's a business that trades. It sells stuff. It makes money. You know, it's profitable. If it's not, well, we need to fix that. As an enterprise, it's about systemization of the business. It's about getting the right staff and the right team in, so that at the end of the day, it can work without you. Because you can only sell a business if it can work without you. If you can't leave the business and you try to sell it, what does the new owner say? Well, stay on and we'll pay you part of the sales price of the business over time. So make sure the profits are there, and then that's how you get out of the business. But that's probably not what you want to do. All right, so perhaps a question. We're not going to do a breakout session, but perhaps some thoughts. As a group, we are about 40 people. Anybody who wants to comment on what you've learned so far, and any thoughts around COVID and how that's affected your business? So let's get some feedback from our attendees.
Oh my God! You know that he's really pressing buttons. I am as well.
Any thoughts, please? Any comments? Any input? everybody a little bit afraid to talk, or is it just that this is not a great place to be? Aurelia, normally you don't, you ask some questions. What would you think?
Bert, I would like to say that what all the industries are facing the same kind of challenges, and if you have a great support structure like a coach, you could actually, it's a problem shared is a problem halved, to bounce ideas off one another.
Okay. Given that, thanks for that, guys. Given that we have gone through some stuff and we shared some issues. I mean, if you look at yourself and you look at growth and developing yourself, everybody indicated they'd like to move up one step on the ladder, perhaps, or even 2 or 3. Yeah, is COVID going to affect that? With COVID around, and let's say what's happening in the world, and specifically perhaps what's happening more in South Africa, what is that going to do to your business? Because it looks like we'll have a 3rd wave and perhaps a 4th wave of this crisis. Yamor, any thoughts?
Well, as a freelance trainer, I've just realized that, I cannot put all my hope in companies to say, listen, I'll give you training. And most of the companies in South Africa, I don't know if you've realized it as well, but people working from home are not set up properly. Yes. So whether we go virtually, they don't have the capacity of laptops, Wi-Fi, whatever. So yes. Most of our hands are cut off to do that kind of training for the masses.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I suppose, where you got leverage before from training, now, how do you get a group together if they can't, they don't have virtual capabilities? Eh?
Yes.
Awesome. Mr. Visser, any comments from you?
Yeah, more or less the same. I'm from the Netherlands, of course, and we are a very small country. I'm also in the training and consultant business, and there's a big change during the last year. We can't get any physical meetings anymore. So all myself and all my people are really up to work together either in Teams or in Zoom with people who are working at home. That's a big difference, but it has also a big impact on the business model. So what we have to do, and it's probably number one thing to do, is to get people more acquainted, to do online trainings, and also change more or less the mindset in terms of having physical meetings and get your learning from online sessions. And that's a big challenge, I think. It's a very big challenge, not only for my people, but also for the participants at the business which I'm working with.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I think that also, just from a sales perspective, what I've found, it takes a lot longer to close deals.
Absolutely, yeah, I'm completely with you. People are very reluctant to close deals also because they don't feel safe or they don't feel comfortable with online training in my area, right?
Yes. And then the other thing is, if you're dealing with companies that are stressed, cash flows wise, whatever, will you get paid is the other question.
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right. Anybody else?
Can I add something to that also?
Yes, absolutely.
We are doing also facilitation on troubleshooting, and I think that is more or less changing the business, because I think in the past I was doing training for 70% of the business, and there's more and more question also around troubleshooting, and that is a complex situation just because people are not working from the workplace but working from home.
Yes.
That changed also our business more or less in terms of another way of approaching to how to deal with troubles in manufacturing or in business areas.
Okay, excellent. Any comments from anybody else, perhaps? Rhodes, Ramsey, anybody? Nothing? Okay, let's move on then, if that's the case. So appreciate that. Thank you for the feedback. Right, so looking at our 6 steps model, I'd really like to take you through that and explain to you how we work. So first of all, we look at a level of mastery in the business. And mastery is where we're looking at the chaos and we say, let's eliminate the chaos. Let's look at understanding the financial numbers, the time management, where we're going. So, what's the purpose of the business, what's the vision, and what is the 3 to 5 year plan that we want to create. Then the second portion is around predictable cash flow. Right, so yeah, it's about marketing and sales and ensuring that we convert clients and we upsell and so on. So getting the cash flow fixed is almost at a second level. We want to really make sure that that happens. So creating stability, first of all, and then making sure that there's cash. Why is it important to make sure there's cash? Well, we want to make sure we can pay the bills. We can pay the owner, and, we don't have to beg and steal and borrow from perhaps our suppliers and not pay them. So get the cash flow right, important aspect. And we can only do that if we fix the sales and marketing, isn't it? Once we got that right, we're talking about leverage. So yeah, it's about the time of the business owner. We want to make sure that we've got systems in place, we get efficiency, and then we bring on board the team that will run the business. So we have a current team, and there might be 1 or 2 gaps there. There might be that there are issues that haven't been addressed. Remember about the ownership and accountability thing. And once we work through that and we understand that we have the right people in the right place, then we get to a point where the business is going to start running itself. And at that point, it's about creating income. So when we go to sleep at night, the business still produces some money for us. When we wake up in the morning, there's more money in the bank than we had the night when we went to go and sleep. Well, that would be a nice place to be. For us to do massive results and get massive results in money and time management and in terms of where we're going, an important aspect that we work through this. This is not just a standard recipe. We might find in your business that mastery is more or less in place. We need to look at the sales and marketing perhaps, and that's then where we focus on its coaches. So the coaching system, we've got the 5 ways and the 4 ways. So the 5 ways is really about understanding that we need to generate leads. We need to convert those leads of our target market into really understanding that we can convert them. What's our sales process? How do we take them through? We just spoke about the time that it's taking at the moment, a little longer. So we also know that if it's capital equipment, it's a lot longer than perhaps just a training session. People, if they have the budget versus they don't have a budget. Then average sales. We're looking at how can we up that, how can we increase the average sales value, the number of transactions that we work with in the business. So how can we get our clients, current customers and new ones to buy more things? So if they can buy more often, let's say they can buy every month, or we go to a monthly sort of fee versus just an ad hoc pay for time used fee, then that's a different story. And then profit margin. So how do we spend the money we've got? Are we carefully looking at our overheads and all those things? So those are the 5 ways that we work with, and we'll go through that model a little later again. And then about the 4 ways, we're talking about how do we systemize the business, right? And systemization is about people and then educating them. It's also about understanding that we need systems and technology in place. We have to ensure proper delivery and customer satisfaction, and also make sure we distribute. And then lastly, accounting, test and measure. So what's happening from an accounting, test and measure perspective? Do we know the numbers? And do we know that if we're spending money on marketing, that it's actually giving us a positive return? And if you don't measure it, you wouldn't know it. I'm talking about a client of mine who, when I started with him, asked him, what is your ROI on marketing spend? And his marketing was mainly on Facebook, spent quite a lot of money on it. And when we started looking at it, there was no effect in the business. And we stopped this Facebook spend. We actually made a saving. And that 7,000 Rand a month then could be used elsewhere because it had no impact on the leads coming into the business. Right, so we want to take the business from mastery, or at mastery level, from chaos to control. And one looks at mastery and we say, okay, it's about the commercial enterprise, so that bottom level. And we know that, in smaller businesses, there's obviously chaos. And we know that small business owners and their families suffer as a result of poor financial management. And if you think about it, a lot of the artisan type people, plumbers, electricians, even we call them medical staff or physicians and so on, sometimes have very poor financial management. Now, from a doctor's perspective, yes, they're still technicians, but they probably outsource that, and they have people collecting their money and invoicing and working with medical schemes. They forced in a direction. But from a plumbing perspective or a carpenter's perspective or even a motor mechanic, you'll find that poor financial management quite often is a problem. So because of that, we don't know what the numbers are. We know if there's money in the bank, we think we can spend it, or the owner thinks he can spend it. And that is not true, because that might be the VAT you have to pay the next month that you actually have to look at. So we want to get from chaos to control. And what does that mean? Well, under controlled conditions, we have shrewd financial management in place. And that means we collect our money, we track and make sure that we spend it wisely. We have some saving. Specifically, let's look at the COVID side. Those who had some cash in the bank had a lot better way of surviving this crisis and came out of it a lot stronger. And then the spending of the money. Now, luckily, that has happened as well in the last 12 months. People have really gone through what do they need critically, and what can they do without. So looking at mastery areas, first of all, we talk about where we're going, then about getting control of the money, making sure we spend our time, and then we don't have that seesaw effect in the business, and then lastly, delivery. So what is destination all about? Well, we need to know where we're going, but we also need to understand a little bit of where we came from. In our early coaching, we spend people on helping define the direction. So, if you start with us, we'd certainly look at the 3 to 5 year business plan. Where do you want to be? And start working on numbers and start working on profit and understanding what the business needs to look like. We don't want to really look at what we don't want, all right? Because that's not what we want to focus on. We want to focus on the things that we want. And every 90 days, we get together, we do a business plan with you, you work on your business. Lately, obviously, that's a virtual day. We spend it on Zoom, and we have breakaway sessions, and we share learnings between business owners. But it's about getting direction and understanding where we want to go so that we can really pick up speed and momentum. It leads to success, and it makes sure that our team knows where we're going. So one of my clients that I've been working with for the last 8 years is all about understanding and growing. And in this business, we've set for 8 years a target of 30% growth. Now, in COVID times, with 1 month of no sale, year to date, we are running at about 20% up on last year. Well, they're lucky. They're in the growth industry. The nursery industries are booming in South Africa because people are at home. They're spending time, money on their gardens because what they see when they're at home, they don't like. Right. But growing a greener future was the vision and focus. And really, it was about getting that focus and driving it through the business and getting the right team behind it so we could get the results we're getting. Going from an 8 million business to a 33 million business is quite a nice way of looking at it. Right, so money mastery is not only looking at the historic numbers. Remember that when you look at your income statement, all of that has happened already. But it's now, we want to look at the future. So cash flow is a really important thing to look at. But many business owners don't know how to do that. And we work with them and we help them through that. So Hira, won't you just mute yourself, please? All right, thank you. Guys, and then, yeah, it is all about looking at the history and making sure that our KPIs are in place for the business. So what are the sales numbers? What is the gross profit margin? Is it improving? Is it going backwards? Is it time for a price increase? And there's a number of things that we look at there. All right, so what are the keys to money mastery? Well, we believe it is having a plan, a budget, and then measuring yourself against that plan. So how are you performing? And then going back to say, okay, if there's a gap, what can I do to fix it? Going forward, how do we stop the leak? Right? So money mastery is about understanding your break even. More importantly, what do I need to do to make the profit in the business? And then maximizing that in terms of my business model. Looking at the 7 keys, 7 financial levers that you can do or can use. Grow that and manage it. One is certainly price increases. So are you passing on inflationary pressure in your business to your clients, or are you trying to absorb it? Because if you're trying to absorb it, you'll never make money. You have to pass on inflation to your customers, unfortunately. Or you have to find the savings in your business. Otherwise, the margin's going to go down. Volume increase, yes, that's great. If we can get a volume increase and grow the sales, that's certainly going to help us. And quite a lot, often that's where we focus. But then just make sure that there's margin in the products that you are selling. So one of my earlier clients wanted to do a sales promotion. Luckily, we went through the product costing and really understood what it cost the business, because if we launched the sales promotion at the suggested price at the time, we would have made a loss on every product that we sold. Cost of goods sold, important. So understand that you need to buy as best as you can. So probably the biggest part of your cost savings could come from buying better. Get the right suppliers on board, get better terms, and get discount for business growth. Then operating expenses, really go through it with a fine-tooth comb. The concept of zero-based budgeting you might have heard of, but go back and start from zero every time. So every time you budget, go and work out how many overalls do you need, at what price, not just 10% on last year. Okay, accounts receivable, it's your money lying with your clients. Have you got a process in place to get that money in so that it's in your bank account and not theirs? Make sure you manage it properly. Looking at inventory, very important. Can you reduce the inventory in your business? Or are you sitting on millions of rands of inventory? And then lastly, accounts payable, right? Make sure that you stretch your accounts payable, get the best terms you can, and then get discount if you pay on time. So those are the 7 levers that you can use to improve the finances of your business. And with the coaching, we would certainly go and look at all of them in your business and see what applies and what you can do. I want to talk about time management quickly, and time management is really about understanding how I spend as owner my time in the business. Okay, so we look at urgency. We're going to look at the important side of things, making sure that high priority tasks get done. Quite often, if those tasks that don't get done, there could be fires starting in the business, and that's not a great place to be. So virtual management of your team, another important thing is, how do you do that? Have you sorted that out? Now that we are working virtually, do you have daily huddles? Do you connect 2 or 3 times a day with the people in your offices and so on? You could also look at, using simple things like, are we sending invoices out on time? Making sure our debts are collected. What are the KPIs for that position? And is that person in that position delivering what we want? Time target concept, very important that you look at, what is the distraction in your business? So it's not important and not urgent that you deal with it. We look at the delusions, stuff that we think are, that's urgent. Somebody's made it urgent perhaps, but it's not going to change any result in the business. Where we want to focus our time is on the in-demand stuff, and then more importantly in the strategic stuff, the zone stuff. Things that are not important today, but if we don't address it, then it will become a massive problem in the business. And that's where strategic planning and the 90-day business plan comes in. Create the focus so that you know and you can actually look at things happening around you. Which tasks are now, given your new plan and your new strategy, urgent and important, and which are not, so that you can spend your time on the right places and get the maximum return on time it's spent. So working on your business, important, not just in your business and doing the work. Okay, look at time management. Client that I work with, Paul Dahl from Mapa Cleaning. We looked at the business, we looked at the gaps in performance, and at that point in time, sales was quite a challenge, as well as the functioning of their workshop. We looked at the people in there, and unfortunately, we had to make a couple of changes because people in there didn't have ownership of the results and weren't motivated to drive the business going forward. So the other important thing is, if you want to grow, you have to make sure that you deliver consistently. And which better example than McDonald's to say, what is the foundation for healthy growth in our business? Well, look at McDonald's, how they can open stores, they can revamp them, but you will get the same quick hamburger every time. Not the best one, but a quick one. And you will get the fries with it. And they'll ask you, do you want to make a meal of it? So they have all the questions in place. They know what works for their business. Right, just some thoughts. We're not going to do this right now, but perhaps look at your notes. What are the things that you've learned for your business and that you can go and implement? So that's really about that first step. Second step is all about understanding that I have to be different. So what gives me a niche? So I want to be a profitable business, which means I don't want to compete on price. So what is it that makes us different and unique? Understand that from an action coach perspective and from my personal perspective as a coach, I don't want you to be in a price war. Sometimes you get in there, I know that, but you want to get out of it as quickly as possible. And especially now with COVID times, people might have lost volume and they think that the best way to get back is to drop the price. Well, you need to look at how much volume can you lose versus how much price should you be reducing. Okay, pricing levels are under pressure, we know, but the point is, what can you do about it? So you need to be more unique, you need to be more different. And for that, in Action Coach, we have a questionnaire that if you work through it and we sit down and we coach you on that, you'll come up with the best possible unique selling proposition or USP that you can get. You want to make sure that what is the one thing in the market that they will buy? You want to be unique about it. And it's not just about great service. Yes, great service is important, but people don't just talk about great service. They talk about excellent service. So what is it that you need to do so that people start talking about you? And look at this curve. If we think about, price competition, it's normally on the right-hand side of the curve where everybody's in the market. There's lots of suppliers and the market is, people just buying now on price. We want to play where we can innovate, where the innovators are, the people who buy the iPhones and the Apple iPods and whatever, flat screen TVs. And today, what are we buying today that's there? It's all the new stuff. And it's those people that are prepared to pay higher prices, the innovators, the early adopters, and perhaps the early majority that we need to go after. Well, why is that important? Because there is no price competition. But you need to do that, and you need to find your USP and your guarantee to make sure you go back to that point of innovation. So what are the guarantees you can give? Well, think about your customers' frustrations. Can you give a guarantee that you will leave this, the house or the property as clean as you found it, if you're a plumber, or that you will be on time, and give people time slots. And there are plumbers out there that do this, and not the ones in South Africa, though. Okay, so how can you set the rules? Make sure that you understand what they are, but make them your rules. Implement a multiple, 7-point customer guarantee. And again, there, pass on the guarantee you get from your supplier to your customer. It doesn't have to cost you a lot. And then lastly, if you need some more information, we run a marketing boot camp, and that's where we spend quite a lot of time on this type of stuff to make sure that we help you with that, so if that's what you're looking for. So looking at leverage and how do we make sure that we build the business that we want. I think it's important that we understand that business has the same chassis. Whether you build a VW Golf or you build an Audi, the chassis of those two vehicles are the same. Your choice on how you build your business. And the question is, which one would you rather have? Well, you got to look at, test and measure. So the things that you do, are they adding value or are they not? Or are you just spending money? And in doing that, the question is, how do you build a business that really makes you money? Well, we believe the best way to do that is to implement the 5 ways of growing your business. Because everybody wants more customers. We all want to grow our turnover or revenue. And we want to know how much profit is left. But we can't just go and say and get more customers. We've got to do certain things. For us to get higher revenue, we need more customers to buy from us, and perhaps our existing ones to buy more as well and more often. And then we want to make sure that there's some money left for us in the business. Okay, so let's look at our 5 ways. So what we're saying is every business should know the number of leads coming into the business. You should also know your conversion rate of those leads. To understand that, what is it? And why are you converting certain people and not others? So if you are not converting your ideal client, then you probably have some issues with your marketing message. But getting more leads in your target market and converting them and improving your conversion rate will give you more customers. If you get your current customers and your new customers to buy more often, so the number of transactions go up and the value of every transaction can go up, you will increase your revenue, isn't it? So more customers buying more often at a higher price gives you more income. And then it's about the profit margin. What is it about your profit margin? Well, it is about understanding that what I spend that money on, is it critically important, and how important is it that I have a profit in my business? Well, for a business to survive, we know we have to have that. So let's put some numbers to this. So we know if you get 4,000 leads into a business over a period of time and you convert them at 25%, you'll have 1,000 customers. 1,000 customers that buy from you currently twice in that period at 100 Rand would give you 200,000 Rand turnover. And at a 25% margin, we'd have 50,000 Rand profit left in the business. Well, a nice little business if you can make 50,000 on 200,000. So if we're going to work with you, we're going to work on these 5 blue numbers. We're going to work on the leads, the rates of conversion. We're going to look at the transactions and the rate of sale and so on. And we're going to make sure that we implement that and grow them in your business. So if we just say, let's take a 10% increase, because now we focused on creating more leads. We're going to look at our marketing, make sure that there's a return on it. We're going to work on our conversion rate and perhaps upskill our salespeople a little bit. And we now have a 10% more conversion rate, which is 27.5. All of a sudden, we have 1,210 customers. In terms of the transactions then, if we can grow that by 10%, we now have 2.2 transactions, because some people are buying from us now 3 times and not only twice. We have an average Rand value of transaction increase by 10 Rand or 10%. All of a sudden, we now have, because of those 5 numbers that have grown, we've got 92,820 Rand more turnover. If we can create some savings in our expenditure, and that's only a 10% saving, we're going to generate 30,525 Rand more in our profit. Well, that's an awesome 61% increase in profit. But take that and put your numbers in that, and what would that do for your business? So the question is, what would you do with the extra money? Well, you can invest it in your business to keep on growing it, or you can probably take some of it out and invest it elsewhere. Remember about the assets that we want to grow. And the same goes with your time. So if we can help you save time and have some extra time, could you start another business? Could you go on a dream vacation? Well, right now that would be difficult, but within the borders of South Africa, you could probably do some stuff. All right, so you could also spend some time with, your important people in your life. And I understand that with COVID, these things are different, but who are the people? And are you still working as hard as ever in your business? Are you getting some balance? Well, that's an important question. Right, so are there any questions at this point in time? Anybody has a comment to make, a question, a thought? If you don't, that's fine. If you have, please speak up. All right. If there isn't anything, that's great. Is there anything in the chat box that we should be aware of? Okay, just some people who said they had to leave. I understand that. Those things happen. So not anything else from me. Right, guys and ladies. Yeah, so thank you for that. And I think important is that I'm going to ask you the question, and you probably should have worked this out by now, but what should you do differently in your business given the COVID-19 situation? So given lockdown, given COVID-19, social distancing, what is it that you should be doing differently in your business? Have you got that worked out? Have you ever thought of it? Have you written it down? Have you sat down with your staff and brainstormed it? Well, if you haven't, I think it's time that you do. Good. it is important that you are undeniably good at what you do, because that is really the best way to sell and promote your business. So if people talk about you, they will refer you, and you will get more business from referrals. And referrals is probably the strongest marketing tool that you can get. And then the other question is, how confident are you about your business's future? So are you going to survive perhaps the next 2-3 years, given COVID and the fact that we are now in the COVID and after COVID situation? I think it's important that you realize that. So you need to feel confident about your business's future. And if you're not, then you need to start planning and thinking about it so that you can make the changes so that you feel confident about it. Warren Buffett said it's not necessary to do extraordinary things to get extraordinary results. I think that is true, but I also think that you need to pivot in your business. If things change around you, no point in running a tourist transport business and there are no tourists. You've got to change. You might have to repurpose those buses. They might have to transport workers to a factory now instead of tourists to tourist destinations. Okay, so it's important that we also look at the third level, and the third level here is about that commercial enterprise that works. Not yet without me, but that works. Right, and what does that mean? Well, it means that we've got to put systems in place. What are the systems that I have identified or that I'm working with so that I can save myself time, energy, and money? Because systemization is there so that other people can do the work and follow this. What are the 9 steps to systemizing your business according to the Action Coach model? Vision statement we need. Where are we going? We need to see what is that roadmap or mission statement? How do we get there? What are the values that we want to live by and that we're going to make sure our staff live by and we're going to tell our customers that we do? We set goals for everybody in the business. What are the SMART goals? SMART being specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. Okay, so if a goal doesn't have an end date, it's not a goal, it's a dream. So set a goal, this next year, this time, this is where I want to be with my business. Well, we know that 2022, the 29th of January, we'll check on that. And are you getting there? Well, perhaps you need to put some milestones in place as well. Then an organization chart. So, what is the structure? Who's reporting to who? And how can you hold people accountable? And remember, people are accountable to people. So if you have an organization structure and people report to you, you have to keep them accountable. What are the positional contracts that you need to put in place? Which means, what do they need to do and what are you paying them? And then how do you measure them, or the KPIs? And then obviously our how-to systems, and then our management system. How to do the work is how to do the customer interaction. Those are the important things, but then managing is, and the management system is also. Team structure for growth, important. So how do you structure? How do you become a profitable business and make sure that it works well, okay, and works without you? So let's think about your team. A lot of us are one-man businesses. As a team member, as the person who's running the business and doing the work, how motivated are you about your own business? Are you energetic? Are you full of drive? Are the customers seeing your enthusiasm? And is that rubbing off, which means they will come back to you, they'll buy from you? Or, is there a problem that you find your staff and you find yourself in a way that you really don't like the business you're in, but you are there by default? And then the question is, how do you get out of there? So except for the 8 hours of the day that they work for you, is quite an interesting statement by Tom Peters around employees. I don't think that's necessarily true, but I do think that very few businesses have employees that are always motivated, energetic, that are A-team players that are leading the business and getting that performance. So as your coach, what we'll do is we'll help you build your team. And if you look at this model, it's all about understanding that your team has to deal with your customers. So if you want to stand back and not run the business, you have to break that tie with the customers. Right now, you might be the only person they deal with. But as you grow and you bring in a new team member, you got to make sure that the team member takes some responsibility and they move that down. So owner to team to customers and then to your business. So make sure that at the end of the day, you have the business you want, because of the business you want will deliver it, but it has to make sure that the customers are satisfied and they keep on coming back. And that is a team issue. So address the team, get the right team in place. And I've seen it so often. When the right team is in place, the business starts performing and the results start coming. What are the 7 keys to a winning team? Well, first of all, you have to have a strong leader. Are you a strong leader, and are you working on your leadership skills, and are you honing them to make sure that you have a winning team behind you? What are the common goals? Does everybody know them? Have you got the buy-in from the staff? What are the rules of the game? You need to set clear rules. When people should be at work, what they should be doing at work, and what they should be wearing. And now with COVID, are you setting the example? Or how do people social distance in your business? What is the action plan for the business? And who does what by when? You need to support risk taking, because you have to take some risk, and you're going to bring people in and give them accountability to do the work, be that the new sales rep or the new driver of your truck. You need 100% involvement and inclusion, and then you need to bring on the right people in the team. So recruitment and who you bring into the business is a really, really important step, I believe, and the 7th step of a winning team. So get the right team. It starts with recruit and recruit correctly. So you want to get the right people on the bus. Well, it also means getting the wrong people off the bus. And then only will you get the synergy and results and get your business to grow. So once you have a business manager in place, you now set the business on autopilot. You get the feedback you need to know that it's on course and it will arrive at its destination that you've set for it. Okay, so put the general manager in place, put the business on autopilot. Well, that sounds a lot easier than can be done, but it can be done. And if you think about big corporates, that's exactly what's done. The shareholders in those businesses invest in those businesses because they have the guarantee and they have the trust in the management to lead that business and to make the profit so that they can get the returns. But so Jim Rohn said, never wish that your life were easier, wish that it were better. Well, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. And I think here again, as business leaders, as owners of businesses, and as entrepreneurs, we have a lot to learn, and we don't know what we don't know. So understanding how sales and marketing works is not just about reading 1 or 2 books. It's about doing stuff. It's about testing and measuring and getting to know them. Our CEO, Brad Sugars, said that in 5 years' time, where you will be depends on the book you read, the people you associate with, and the actions you take. Are you taking the right action to lead you and to take you where you want to be in 5 years' time? Obviously, there are things that you can do on your own, and there might be things that you can do with us. The question is, how quickly do you want to get results? And would be working with a mentor and coach help you grow your business perhaps a little bit faster? Well, what is business coaching? Business coaching is a business apprenticeship where you get to grow your business so that it more than pays for the investment you make in the customized education that you get from the business coach. And the nice thing about that education is you get to keep it forever, so nobody can take that away from you. Right, so it's a one-on-one customized way of working in your business. It's about understanding the business, but it's also about having a mentor on your side to tell you what worked and what doesn't work. By working with a coach, what you'll get? Well, more cash flow, real profits, better team, and more time. And wouldn't that be great to put that in place? So what does the future look like? Well, we know that business owners need to invest in their future. And if you want to grow your business, my question to you is, are you at a place where you can be the leader that will grow that business? Do you want to take it? Or do you need to work on yourself? And perhaps one of the ways to do that is to have some one-to-one coaching. And we offer one-to-one coaching for our clients. And if you're interested, We have a link that I'll put up just now that you can just click on and register on my website. And the link is called Get My Business Booming. And you'll fill in a couple of questions. It takes a minute. You register and you qualify for potentially a 45-minute session with me as talking about your business and understanding what we have. If you want a better business in 2021, are you hoping for a better business? Because hoping for a better business is not a plan, but planning for successful business gives us hope. And I find so often that business owners really just live from one month to another. They don't really look at a plan. They don't have specific goals that they've written down that will give them hope and see how things improve in their business. But if you do that, I've also seen the opposite, where people are energized. They look at their daily sales to make sure that they achieve their weekly and monthly sales. So, how committed are you? It also depends on how well you understand your plan and what you want to achieve. So investing in your business's future could also mean attending our Growth Club. Now, Growth Club is a 90-day business planning workshop. You get a workbook like this that you need to work through. There's lots of pre-work. And on the day, you spend in the room with about 25 to 30 other business owners, and we learn from each other. It happens 4 times a year and at a cost of 1,950 Rand per person. So if you want to talk about that, we're going to have our next one. I think it's the 24th of February coming up, and we're going to have a great day learning and planning our businesses. Also have group coaching. We spoke about that a little earlier. 11 sessions over 11 months, where we take you through the different aspects of the business. You learn from other business owners that will be in the group with you. Obviously, right now, that's going to have to be virtual. And how it works is that we meet one Monday night per month over 11 months, and we go through the different sessions. If you are interested in that, again, please register or please email me directly and we can get talking. And I know, Aurelia, you've expressed some interest in that. That's just some of the clients that we've worked with. So some of the brands you might know, some of them are not that well known or more local. Understanding that trying to create a company is like baking a cake, and that's what Elon Musk said. You have to have all the right ingredients in place in the right proportions. Elon Musk currently is rated the richest person in the world. And we all know him for his achievements on Tesla and SpaceX, and previously PayPal. Okay, so what can I guarantee you? That 12 months from today, you will arrive. The question is, are you going to still have the business that drives you, or are you going to drive the business? And that might be more than a 12-month journey, but have you started that journey? Right, so again, I want to offer you the first 7 qualifying business owners who want to take up this. You need to go to my website, the link at the bottom there. I'll put it in the chat box in a moment. Perhaps let me do it now. And I can just get that over and done with. So just give me a moment. Right, so put that in the chat box. If you want to go to that link, you're more than welcome. And yes, please go there, please register. We're going to give you 45 minutes of sorry. Can you see it in the chat box? Okay, guys and ladies. So I'm going to get back to my presentation. Thanks. Right, so that's the link at the bottom. We'll send it out again. I want to thank you for really being with us. I did promise that we should finish ahead of time. Wanted to just make sure that you got value from what you saw today. And before we go, I have a little video I still want to play, and I hope you can stay for it, and then we'll just do questions afterwards. So let's just have a look at this quickly.
Most people only pay attention to the final product of a successful entrepreneur. They say things like, I can never be like them, or they got lucky. What most don't see is what they've overcome. All the struggles, the daily rejections, the heartaches, the betrayals, the rumors, the criticism, the empty bank account, and all those lonely nights while trying to make their vision a reality. You see, the only difference between the one who quits and the one who doesn't is that they showed up every day. They worked hard every day. They hustled every day. They learned from a proven mentor every day. They improved every day. They did all this even though they felt like quitting every day. And eventually, they became who they are today.
Great, and I want to leave you with those words. In the
Most
end,
people-
your results will speak for itself. So once again, thank you, and I'm going to open the floor for questions if anybody has any questions.
Bert, when are you going to hold the session? Unfortunately, I couldn't join you from the beginning. I think this is a highly informative session.
Yes.
And with just what I've captured during this time I've been on, I think it's spot on in terms of businesses, one that would look at startup businesses and one that is looking at changing businesses, I mean, the course of business. I mean, there's things like, there's things now like your digital quotient. You still have the same workforce that needs to adapt completely differently.
That's
They are
correct,
used
yes.
to work, they're used to functioning on a face-to-face basis, and now they feel like they are lost, and that momentum is no longer there. How do you
Yes.
change that with the same workforce? And there's certain things as well that I've taken on in terms of those KPIs. You may look at all the KPIs and revenue and money in the bank, but at the end of the day, if you don't change basic things like your lifestyle, how efficiently you manage that. New KPIs that you might want to look at is your cost to gross margin ratio. At the end of the day, how much do you still spend in this time to get, to make the same rand or dollar?
Yeah.
So to me, I think you touched on leads, and I was looking at leads and thinking, I was happy to hear that you are looking at those targeted markets, which means those are qualified leads. And
That's
at which
correct.
stage do people go? I mean, the entire organization rally behind you in terms of looking at how to qualify those leads and know exactly those. That is the population they need to be talking to.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm speaking to Price. Eh?
Yeah, you're speaking to Price.
Price, yeah, just to interrupt you there, I think if you wouldn't mind, you can either drop your email, or, let's just go to that bertweenink.com, get my business booming, and you and I can connect. And in that discussion of 45 minutes, we'll certainly cover those things, and we can look at the alternatives. I'm more than happy to take that up with you.
Yeah. And I would be interested to know when is the other information session, because I would have loved to have been there from the beginning.
Yes, so we're gonna just record it. I can send you a copy of the recording.
Okay.
You can watch
No,
it,
that would be fine.
There will be another session at the end of February. All right.
That would be fine. Thanks, Bert.
Okay, awesome. Anybody else? Any thoughts? Harish, Meta, how did you find it? Any comments from your side? Looks like we don't have a signal there. Anybody else to go? Kevin, last thoughts? Let's see what's happening in the chat box. Okay, guys. Yeah, thank you for joining us this morning. Again, really appreciate it. And yeah, it's just great talking to business owners and working with you guys, and hope we added some value. May you have a wonderful weekend, and may business be successful beyond expectation. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Kevin. Bye.
Thanks a lot, Bert.
Thank you, Bert. Keep well, eh?
Thanks
Bye-bye.
a million, Bert.
Pleasure, guys.